Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Grim and Guilty. Hey guys, I just wanted to come on here before we stop the episode and say that I hope everyone had a good Christmas and I hope that you guys have a very good New Year's. I'll see you guys soon. I'm sure we're all familiar with today's story due to it still remaining unsolved and just because of how crazy and bizarre it is. This story starts in February 1959, deep in the Ural Mountains of Russia, where nine experienced hikers from the Ural Polytech Institute set out on what should have been a tough but doable winter expedition. The group's ages ranged from 21 to the oldest being 38, and they were all students and peers at the university. This wasn't a group of amateurs. They were skilled, smart, and led by a guy named Igor Dyatlov. He was a 23-year-old radio engineering student at the Ural Polytechnical Institute. So the hike went smoothly at first, just cold winds and the snowfield stretching for miles. One member actually had to stop and turn back to some health issues. So they did start off with 10 and then they were 9. And as they pushed deeper into the mountains, a storm rolled in and the visibility dropped. They ended up veering off course and setting up their tent on the side of a mountain that the locals called Dead Mount. Not because it's haunted or anything like that, it's just because nothing grows there. It's a quiet, empty place. That night, something happened. And whatever it was, it scared 9 experienced hikers so badly that they cut their way out of their own tent from the inside. So, days later, when the hikers never returned, rescue teams went out looking for them. What they found didn't make any sense then and still doesn't today. So the tent was discovered first, but it had been slashed open from the inside, like they were trying to escape in a panic, right? But then their footprints trailed down the slope in the snow in a calm manner, like not sloppy footprints as if they were running away. And some of them were barefoot footprints in sub zero temperatures. So no one does that unless something terrified them more than freezing to death. The first bodies were found near a tree line, dressed in almost nothing, like they'd fled the tent half dressed. 2 were lying beside the remains of a small fire. They were Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko. The medical examiner recorded livor mortis on the back, but Krivonishenko was found facing up. This indicated that someone had moved them after the death, and 3 more were found between the tree line and the tent. Like they tried to crawl back but never made it. The last 4 were found months later, deeper in a ravine, and this is where the story goes from tragic to bizarre. Some of them have massive internal injuries like broken ribs, crushed chest, but no external bruising, almost like they've been hit by a force the human body isn't supposed to encounter. One woman was missing her tongue, another had her eyes gone, and nobody could agree on what caused it. The official explanation back then was, well, honestly, it wasn't that much of an explanation at all. Something about an unknown compelling force. That's literally what they wrote. Not an avalanche, not an animal attack, not a fall, just something. And that's why people still talk about it today. Theories range from secret military tests to infrasound panic to avalanches to hypothermia, induced madness to something stranger. Something that made 9 smart, disciplined hikers run into the frozen dark like their lives depended on it. The mountain was renamed Dyatlov Pass after the leader of the group, but the mystery never got clearer. People go back, researchers dig up again every few years, and everyone leaves with more questions than answers. Whatever happened out there on that cold winter slope, the only people who could explain it never made it home. The Point Sur Lighthouse sits on this massive volcanic rock just off California's Big Sur coast. And honestly, it already feels wrong before you even get into the ghost stories. You don't just drive up to it like a normal lighthouse. You have to cross this narrow land bridge with the Pacific crashing below you. Winds whipping so hard it feels like something's trying to push you back. Even on a sunny day, this place feels isolated, like it was meant to be cut off from the world. When it was built in the late 1800s, the isolation was even worse. Lighthouse keepers and their families lived out there for months at a time. No towns nearby, no quick supply runs, no easy way off the rock when storms rolled in. Fog could settle in for days, sometimes weeks, thick enough to swallow sound. Imagine raising kids, cooking meals, trying to sleep while waves slam into the cliffs below you nonstop. That kind of isolation messes with people. One of the most talked about spirits is what people call the man in the pea coat. Visitors and staff alike say that they've all seen a tall figure walking slowly along the path toward the lighthouse, hands clasped behind his back like someone on duty. He doesn't acknowledge anyone, he doesn't speak, he just walks straight ahead and fades into the fog. Some believe he's the spirit of a former keeper who never mentally left his post, even after death. Inside the lighthouse, things get quieter but heavier. Tour guides tell stories about footsteps on the spiral stairs when no one is inside. Not quick steps either, slow, deliberate ones, like someone climbing carefully. Sometimes the sounds stop right behind you, close enough to raise the hair on your neck. Doors that were shut are later found open. Cold spots show up in rooms that shouldn't be cold at all, especially near the old keeper's quarters. That room in particular has a reputation. One keeper reportedly fell seriously ill there and died, and ever since, people say that space feels different. Visitors have reported sudden pressure on their chests, like the air got heavier. Others say they feel a hand on their shoulder while standing near the old desk. When they turn around, no one's there. And then there's the piano. There used to be a piano in the living quarters back when families stayed on the rock. It's been gone for decades, but people still swear they hear it. Not full songs, just like soft notes, like someone is practicing, stopping, and starting again. Late at night, when the winds die down just enough, those sounds stand out in a way that makes your stomach drop. It's subtle, but it's consistent, and multiple people have reported the same thing. One of the strangest layers to the haunting ties back to a real tragedy. So, in 1935, a U.S. Navy blimp ZU 23 crashed near Point Sur during a storm, killing everyone on board. Some hikers and park rangers say they've heard a slow engine hum overhead on clear nights. Others claim to see lights moving offshore, hovering briefly before vanishing into the darkness. What makes Point Sur kind of unsettling isn't one big dramatic moment. It's the accumulation of small things. The feeling of being watched, the sense of someone is just out of sight. The way that people describe the same experiences without knowing the stories beforehand. It's not a place that jumps out and scares you, it just lingers. When visitors leave Point Sur, you hear a lot of them say the same thing, that they felt some kind of relief when they crossed back into the land bridge, like something stayed behind on the rock or was following them and then stopped.